Oh wow. Oh wow. Uh so many. I don't know. I don't know how I was gonna start this episode. Anyway, hi. Hello, Divas. It's one of those days, y'all. Hello, Divas. Welcome to The Cup, the Currently Unnamed Podcast, where we put the real and the tea in reality, and you can always come to us first to quench your thirst. I'm Logan, where face is something gay. Gay, I am currently drinking a protein shake. I feel like Eris. But it is simultaneously a protein shake, my fiber for the day, and some energy supplements that are blackberry lemon flavored. So it all tastes very, very good, and I'm just knocking it all out in one go. But if I was drinking it out of not this neon green shaker cup, it might be a cup mug. Not mine, but it could be yours. And you could get yours at lanagcreations.etsy.com. That link is down in the description below, and we do ship domestically within the United States and internationally, so there are no excuses unless your current country is currently on fire, under fire, or underwater. Then there are some excuses.
Well, I'm David Healy, and I don't have a cute intro, but I do have a cute shirt. It's a pretty simple shirt from the front, but it does say KB. Yes, that's right. It's Kate Butch. And I have on the back here, it shows her, and it says Wuthering Shites. So, and I'm just drinking some water right now.
And I'm Eris Envy, your punk rock hairy fairy all the way from Leeds, your favourite drag queen and rugby player. I'm not drinking anything, but I am sat in my soon-to-be former communication hub, known as my new bedroom, because I moved.
Yay!
Yay! Still in Leeds, just in a nice neighbourhood now, by Holbeck.
Good. Well, it is episode 5 of Drag Race UK, and I am very happy to say that this season just keeps getting better. I love this episode. I love this episode. It's so good. It's so good. And we're going to talk about it. But before we do, make sure to subscribe if you've not already, because we're here almost all the time giving you almost all things drag. And make sure to check out the description below where you can find all of our audio podcast links, our other YouTube channels, and our Patreon for exclusive content and early access, including early access to most of the Look Over Here episodes for the franchises that we are currently covering. So we come back into the workroom, and can we all do it one last time together? Zahira! David, can you not do it?
I've never tried.
Zahira!
Zahira.
Zahira! You gotta get real nasal.
Zahira!
There you go! Zahira!
That's out of my comfort zone, y'all.
I know it is.
Zahira!
Zahira!
Enter the void with her.
Zahira. I'm still sad that Zahira's gone.
Me too.
Was it a rightful elimination? Yes. Am I still disappointed? Absolutely. But neither of you were here for the girl group last week. So real quick thoughts. What'd you think of the girl groups? The ghoul groups. Sorry, ghoul groups.
I expected, I think the verses were nice and the performances was good. I didn't like the track by itself.
Oh, I love the track.
I think it could have been better. I wanted them to channel less Kimpetrus and a little bit more oh god, who sings it? Things that go bump in the night. It's either All Stars or Steps that you sing that, and that is a proper mid 2000s. Yeah, that's proper mid 2000s spooky. That is on every Halloween playlist everywhere in the UK. It's also featured in Scooby-Doo Mystery Island. So no, not Mystery Island, Spooky Island.
Yes, it is, and that came out of the depths of my memories. So thanks for that.
You're welcome.
David, what did you think of the ghoul groups?
I kind of like the song, and I thought it was an interesting angle to go with girl groups. But for me, since neither group was just consistently all around slaying it, I was kind of hoping that they would have winners from both sides, maybe 2 from each side. And I would have loved that, because I think we could have easily given it to Kiki Relisa, Kyron, and Octavia for me, because those were my 4 favorites, 2 on each team. Would have loved that, but yeah,
You didn't like Zahira being a spindly spider?
I loved it.
I wouldn't have. I really.
I know.
Every time I come on this podcast, I sound like an
Yes, you
Octavia
are.
hater, and I'm really not. I'm really not. I promise you that. And this week, it's not going to get any better. But I promise you, I like Octavia. I just think she's underperforming just a tad. That's all. But yes, we come back into the workroom. Zahira is gone. And I felt really bad because Lil was like, well, I feel a little guilty. I was like, Lil, you don't have to.
Right.
I love Lil. Lil is quickly becoming one of my absolute favorites on this season. But I love everyone. So it's really difficult. Like this entire cast, every single person, I'm like, I couldn't take anyone out of this cast and it would still feel the same. Like every single person is bringing a very integral component to this season, and it's wild to me. And it's not always the case that we have that, especially on UK. So,
yeah, I think every episode I'm going to be kind of heartbroken by whoever goes home. It's happened every week so far, honestly. So yeah, like I keep thinking, like, who am I okay with going next? Because it's not like who do I want to go next? Who am I most okay with losing? So it's pretty hard because everybody's likable.
Yeah.
Even if they're likable for being a villain.
Yes. And I love it. I love a likable villain. I really do. I did hate, though, that in our scene right before the credits rolled, it was Chara saying, well, I hope I'm in the top this week. And I was like, well, Chara's going to be in the bottom. Cool.
This whole episode, I was like, oh, they're making it so obvious that Chara's going home. Like 100%.
I thought Chara was going home too.
Same.
I really thought Chara was going home.
I was updating scores in our Google sheet, like for our draft. I put in a 0 for Chara because I'm like, I am so positive she's going home based on this edit. They're just making it so obvious.
And then we'll talk about the rest of this later.
But yes, we come back into the workroom the next day. RuPaul walks in, and we have a mini challenge featuring Raven.
She's looking lighter, honestly.
Thank God for that.
Well, whether melanin she lost or horror found, so.
You're not wrong. I will say she actually looked good. And I'm looking back at the episode right now, and I'm like, yeah, actually, her makeup looks pretty spot on.
She's a lighter skin tone than RuPaul.
Thank God for that. Thank you. But yes, we are doing the big pink chair. This whole episode is Graham Norton themed, and I loved it.
Is that a thing?
Yes.
Okay, I was not familiar with this concept at all.
I was going to say Eris probably has more knowledge of it than I would, but I believe it to be so Eris has no knowledge of this. Got it.
I knew that he sat in a big chair.
Does it flip backwards?
I don't think. Oh no, they have done a bit on the show before with a chair that flips back.
Yeah.
I remember that being a bit. Oh my God. Sorry, I'm resting my phone in between my knees right now.
Well, maybe don't do that.
I need to buy a desk. I only got paid today.
You're fine. You're good. I thought this mini challenge was completely stupid in the worst way. I really didn't care for this challenge at all.
Oh, I liked it because I'm a sucker for like really cheesy jokes, and we had some good ones. Even like this cheese. Speaking of cheese, there was a cheese I'd never heard of. What was it? Moo or bear, something bear. Camembert.
Oh, Camembert.
You've never heard of
Camembert is the shit.
Yeah, and I'm not gonna pretend like I have.
You like put it in the oven in like a little porcelain pot that it comes in, and then you like you just dip stuff into it. My sister's obsessed with it. My mum gets her like a giant block of it every Christmas, and she like eats it.
I don't
Come
think
on,
you touched
bear.
it, David.
It sounded even better in Chara's accent.
God, I love Chara so much. I love Chara. No, what
Chara,
I think the joke.
Because I hear it both ways.
What?
Chara or Chara?
Chara.
You're
Chara.
saying Chara. You're saying Chara. They say
Yeah,
it
I
both
have an
ways on the
accent.
show.
Different accents.
That it doesn't
It
matter.
is probably more likely to be Chara, because charity.
Yeah.
But I would say a charity shop. So I
In
say
fact,
Chara.
I would think a British person would say Chara before an American would say Chara.
Well, David, I'm Northern, so sometimes what I say doesn't make sense.
And David, I'm American, so I'm gonna say things the way that they say their names. So that's how I'm gonna say their name.
Hey, Charity or Charity, if you're watching, please let us know in the comments how you say
Should
it.
I message her? Be like, hey, girl, we
Do
don't
it.
know how to
I
pronounce
dare
your
you.
name.
I was gonna say she's been commenting on our videos, so thanks, Chara. But
I think it's
let us
Chara.
know. On this week's edition of DMing Drag Race Queens, it's not my turn this time, it's Eris's. You don't have to, it's all good. But Chara, if you are watching, let us know. Thank you.
Love you, babes.
No, what I didn't like about this mini challenge, I liked the jokes. I agree with y'all. What I didn't like is that RuPaul and Raven were just had sticks up their asses.
Yes,
and
because
hated
a lot
everything.
of those
And I know
jokes
that's
were
probably
actually
the
funny.
point of the bit. I just thought the bit was stupid.
I don't know. The only thing is I did not think they were fair to Lavoie because all she said was like 3 nuns or whatever, and she didn't even get to tell a punchline. And I'm like, well, I want to know this joke.
I want to know what the 3 nuns are up to.
Yeah, what are they doing?
I guess it's none of our business.
That was good.
That was. What did Kiki say that made Raven crack a little bit?
Oh, Jesus. What was Kiki's? I don't even remember.
I think I do remember it being pretty funny, but...
I remember being funny because didn't she win?
Oh, she won. What's the difference between Dubai and Abu Dhabi?
Oh, yeah.
The people from Dubai don't like the Flintstones,
Abu
but
Dhabi
Abu Dhabi
do.
That was good. You know what? She deserves the win for that.
Yes.
She absolutely
Get your
deserves
win.
that win.
Oh,
Get your half a point.
Like, I was watching this episode, like, I was watching this mini challenge, I was like, God damn it, I know exactly the joke I would tell.
Do
you want to hear it?
Yes.
Well, yes.
What's a pirate's favorite letter?
R.
See, you'd think that, but their heart belongs to the sea.
Oh, that's funny. That's good. I'll give you that.
Thank
you. You can't do that. He's precariously perching we're seeing his leg in the screen.
Oh no.
Oh Lord Jesus, not this again. Anyway, Kiki won. Good for her. We find out that the Maxi Challenge obviously is them being featured on the Graham Norton Show. And Kiki, for winning the mini challenge, has to split the group into 2. Now, okay, here's my fundamental problem with this challenge, because I thought the challenge overall was fun and funny. Why are we doing 2 groups of 5 and 4 when traditionally, to my understanding, there are usually 3 guests on the Graham Norton Show? So with a group of 9, why are we not doing trios?
That's too easy. This makes it more complicated.
Well,
but I feel like with a group of 3, if the challenge is convey yourself and also banter off of other people, it is much easier in a trio than it would be in a group of 5. And I said it last week, this challenge felt set up for Lavoie to win, and am I mad that she did end up winning? No. But it's like, okay, cool. We're gonna just, here you go, Lavoie. Have your win.
I mean,
that's what it felt like to me.
The only way for it not to seem that way is to not do this challenge at all. Like, I don't see how any elements of the challenge itself are like, oh, we're trying to give Lavoie an advantage in this challenge, because she didn't need one. This was like her bread and butter. So I don't know. I don't have a conspiracy theory about it.
I do.
Clearly.
Clearly.
But am I mad at the outcome of this episode? Absolutely not. Absolutely not. But Kiki decides she's going to split the groups and put herself in the group of 5 for some reason. And she's going to put herself in the group of 5 with 4 strong personalities in Kyron, Lavoie, Lil, and Marmalade. Again, I'm asking, why? Because if it was me, I absolutely agreed with every single thing that Chanel and Chara were saying. I would put myself in the group of 4. Yes, it means I have to do more of the work, but it also means I get more of the airtime. And that's what I would have wanted personally. That's just me.
I honestly think it ended up being pretty inconsequential, because they all had their own moment to answer a question. The only person that had 2 moments was Chara. But like the banter, you could do that no matter how many people are on your team. You just have to take the initiative, and not many people did. Also, I will kind of push back, because I don't necessarily think Marmalade and Lil are big in your face personalities.
I didn't say big in your face. I said strong.
Okay, well, what do you mean by strong?
I think
strong is in they have a very specific point of view and they have a very specific personality. And it may not be the biggest, but a couple of people on this season, I'm going to be honest. By strong, I mean they are people that are standing out in this competition for positive things.
But I wouldn't say their personality is why.
Okay, whatever, David.
David just wants to argue today.
No, if we don't want to have a discussion about it, we don't have to.
No, I'm just saying that's why I didn't say big loud, because Marm and Lil are not big loud personalities, but they are strong personalities.
Okay.
And
I guess I just think of strong as something else.
Well, I just think of it as strong as in strong personality, strong performer, strong like that's the route I'm going with it.
I agree with Logan though, because I feel like Lil has a very distinct personality, and it is a type of personality that you see quite a bit in the UK, especially amongst like, I don't necessarily want to say gay men as much as I just want to say queer people in general. Like, because I know a few people that like Lil staunchly reminds me of. Like deadpan, dry sense of humor, but very kooky, and just like, I don't know how to explain it. I'm gonna start referring to people like that as a Lil from now on, I think. But
yeah, like use Lil as an adjective, because I honestly think like who else does she remind me of personality wise, like from Drag Race? I'm trying to think. But no, I agree with you completely, David. They're not the biggest, loudest, in your face personalities. But my point was just that they're stronger personalities.
Okay, I guess I've always understood that to mean something else.
Valid, and completely valid.
And like, are we actually talking about the challenge now, or
not yet?
Okay, I'll talk more about Marmalade when we get to challenge, because I have a lot of things to say. Positive.
So most of the workroom stuff is dominated by the RuPaul walkthrough, which is this the first one she's done this season?
I think. No?
From the way the girls were talking about it in confessional, it was like, oh, I finally get my chance to talk to Mama Ru. And it's like, oh, I don't know that she has done a walkthrough yet. And the walkthrough was fairly inconsequential. You know, they're just asking how best to do this because Ru has been a guest on the Graham Norton Show. And I appreciate the girls that ask the direct questions because Ru has that experience. And taking full advantage of the opportunities that you have in front of RuPaul every time that you get it. So I appreciated the girls like Lavoie and Chanel and Octavia for really like putting their personality first and like asking these questions that are going to either help them or hurt them in the challenge. And for some people it helped, and for some people it hurt them. I don't know if anyone had any other thoughts on that segment or situation. We will just move along then to our emotional moment of the episode, and goddamn, it was emotional.
First of all, like before we get into like the actual conversation,
mhm.
I'm very confused about the dynamic in the room because it really felt like there were only two people in the room. So I wonder if
Yeah.
something was like prearranged, like they knew this conversation was going to come up, and Kyron asked if it could just be the two of them because we did not hear
Maybe.
a single peep out of anybody else. We did not see anybody else. And if they did give her the space to have a one-on-one in the workroom, I think that's really cool. And major props to production for doing that, because you could tell that she felt very safe and comfortable to have the conversation that we were about to see.
Kyron has released a statement saying that production were very supportive and did communicate a lot with her about this conversation. I don't know whether that means before or whether when they were dealing with it in post.
Good. Okay. And hey, thank you BBC for honoring these conversations, because they need to be had. But we get a very emotional conversation with Kyron talking about a relationship that they had when they were younger. Not to go into too many details in order to, because I know some of us have personal attachments to stories like this, myself included. But a very emotional, very abusive, very manipulative relationship from Kyron. That I'm very happy is being told. And I think this is the absolute right time to do it. And I love that production was very, very thoughtful. It felt very thoughtful. Because usually when we're having conversations like this, it's, oh, we're doing our makeup in the mirror. And I always think of that one parody video that has gone around TikTok where it's the girl who plays all of the different characters. And she's like, well, my parents were eaten by wolves and then I was raised by wolves. I don't know if y'all know which one I'm talking about. It's a stupid, dumb parody video, but I think of like, they're like doing their makeup or something like that. But I agree with you, David. Either everyone was out of the workroom or they were focused on like their costumes or their own like dialogue or whatever. And I also love that it was Lavoie that was here with with this conversation. I think it feasibly could have been a lot of people, but I'm kind of most happy that it was Lavoie. And yeah, it's a very touching, very moving conversation that I'm very happy was told.
Yeah, it was hard to watch, honestly, especially like because we see so many of these conversations in the various franchises, and it does in a way, like even though these conversations are genuine, there is like a contrived quality to them. It feels producer prompted, and that might have been the case here. It might have been producer prompted, but you could just see so much authenticity in Kyron, and it's hard to remember a time where I've seen pure raw emotion from somebody. And as somebody who like really has connected with Kyron throughout this season, my heart just really broke watching this conversation. It's something I cannot relate to at all because I came out pretty late in life. Like I came out when I was 27. But just seeing how that's stuck with her and how she hated herself and blamed herself for something that was not her problem at all. Like it was not something that she should have any sort of blame or weight for. I just wanted to give her a hug. And I'm glad that Lavoie was the one that was there having that conversation because honestly, they're my two favorites at this point. And I feel like Lavoie was the perfect person to remain in control and remain a listener and just give her the space to tell her story and provide support. I don't think anybody could have done it nearly as well as Lavoie. Yeah, this was a beautiful moment that I'm always going to remember, a beautiful, heartbreaking moment. So I'm just very proud of Kyron for going there because it's something that people need to hear, especially young viewers of this show. So major props.
Yeah. I'll jump in and say, unfortunately, I have a story that is a bit similar to this. I've been through something unfortunately similar. So this was incredibly hard to watch, but I'm very glad it happened, and I got a lot of strength from seeing it, and I can't thank Kyron enough for their bravery. What I will say is, just to pick up on what you said, David, and I was going to say this anyway, Drag Race will have a lot of young viewers that will see this, and I hope that this is the flag that someone watching this needs to realize that what they're going through isn't right and what they're going through isn't okay. What I will say is, if you are a younger person and you feel like you're in this situation, please speak to a trusted adult. You've not done anything wrong, you're not in trouble, but you need to speak to someone you know you can trust and someone who can keep you safe. And that's from my experience as an educator who's been that person for other people a few times as well.
Love you, Eris. Always will. Always will. Shall we talk about more exciting things like RuPaul in a beautiful gown and other people?
Lovely gowns, beautiful gowns.
Beautiful gowns, beautiful gowns. Boom. And this is a beautiful gown.
Beautiful gown.
Beautiful gowns, beautiful gowns.
And episode 5, they met Claire from Steps.
You know, I wasn't mad at seeing Claire from Steps.
Have we seen her before?
This episode. Yes.
Okay.
She, the season that Steps came in to do the girl group, which I believe was 4.
I wasn't sure if she, like, I knew there were people from Steps, but I was not sure which ones. So I don't know them really.
All of them were there at some
minus
point.
1.
Yeah.
Minus 1. Well, obviously Lisa Scott Lee was not going to be there.
Oh, Lisa Scott Lee, the ice skater.
Guys. That shit. That.
Oh, that shit.
Come
on, now. Sorry, you can't do this to me. I will be on a Lisa Scott Lee kick all night if this continues.
No, we're not going to do that. Anyway, we're going to talk about Claire from Steps, who was happy that she was here. Why this challenge? Because she's been a guest on the Graham Norton Show.
But then you could have had anyone if they
right. Literally, you could have picked a random celebrity out of a hat who lives in the UK.
Dame Judi Hench.
I mean, they already do. They already do. Like, I don't think they always pick the most qualified person, but you know what? She has opinions still. And that's all that really matters. Like, I actually kind of like seeing somebody have opinions about something that's not their expertise. I think it's kind of cool.
Absolutely.
Mm-hmm. And not to reference the Graham Norton Show, but to reference the Graham Norton Show. Imagine if we got Dame Judi Dench and RuPaul went, so, Dame Judi, what did you think of Kyron? And she just goes, leave me alone.
I would have loved it. I'm waiting for Dame Judi Dench to be a guest judge. I don't think she'll ever do it, but God, I would love that. God, I would love that. And Graham looks very lovely in this suit.
He looks lovely.
He looks lovely. Michelle looks great in red.
It looks like one of those weed suits, you know? Like, like if it was green instead of gray.
Not the weed suit.
If it was green instead of gray, it would look like, oh, you got little marijuana leaves all over you.
Not the boar worm.
Not the boar worm, as RuPaul said.
Anyway.
Can I ask, actually, do we think RuPaul do you think the edit would have kept RuPaul saying, not the boar worms, in if T.S. Madison hadn't made that a meme like a couple of months ago?
No.
Can you explain the meme to me?
Yes, I will. So T.S. Madison was on a podcast with Katya, and they were talking about movies they liked, and they were mentioning Flash Gordon, and there's this scene in Flash Gordon where Princess Aurora is being tortured, and the torturer just stops the lady who's whipping her and goes, "Bring me the boar worms," and Princess Aurora goes, "No, not the boar worms." And T.S. Madison repeated it many times, very seductively, whilst maybe also grabbing her breasts.
Okay. And of course, in classic Katya fashion, she's dying laughing on the other side.
I can picture it.
I was like, I hope you can picture it. She was one of several guests on her and Trixie's podcast, The Bald and the Beautiful, while Trixie was on her 4-month sabbatical. which was a great series. They had what? T.S. Madison, Sasha Colby, Joel Kim Booster, Scarlet Envy, like a bunch of fun people, which was lovely. But let's talk about the Graham Norton Show. We have our group of 5 up here in the top and our group of 4 here at the bottom. We have all made our rankings of who we thought did the best and the worst in this challenge. Do we want to go by individual or do we want to go by our rankings?
I think we should go by individual.
Okay.
I wrote them all in order that they had like their time to shine. If we wanted to go by that.
That is fine by me.
Okay.
David, why don't you start then? Because I don't know what order they got their stuff in. So
the first person to talk was Lavoie. And honestly, I did not write down their conversation points. I mostly just wrote down notes about like, how they were. Like, so for Lavoie, she was first, and right off the bat, she was making banter with Graham before her question even came up. It was very natural. What I really liked about her is when she was talking, she made eye contact with Graham. She made eye contact with everybody on the couch. She made eye contact with the people in the audience. Everything she did was so professional and natural. And throughout the whole thing, every time somebody else had something to say, she would find a perfect time to interact with them. And I think one of the judges mentioned it later on. If they didn't have their funny moment, she helped them find it. So literally perfection. I don't think I can remember the last time somebody was so perfect in a challenge. She nailed this. It was my number 1 easily.
Yeah, I also have Lavoie at number 1. I think overall, her conversation skills, her banter with the other queens, and her overall demeanor just were the absolute strongest of this episode by far. Her look is super cute too. This color, this light blue and the red wig, like, just looks really good on her. A red wig and a blue pantsuit, I do think.
Oh, it's me. Yay.
Yes.
We're gonna get the hat trick here because I also put Lavoie first. I think David put it pretty well. I would say honestly, everything she did flawlessly, and there was intention in like absolutely everything she did. But like it still had such a natural flow to it. Like it didn't feel like she was forcing anything. She just felt like she was in her zone. She was in her element. The only way she could have been any more in her own element is if this was on a cruise ship and they told her to sing.
Right. Or like
Which,
if the
to be
mini
fair, she could
challenge
have been
was
a
the
musical
cabaret. Literally, if the mini challenge was the cabaret from episode 1 and the maxi challenge was this challenge, that would be the Lavoie episode. Like, there's no other.
Yeah. Next up, we had Kiki Snatch, and you could tell like right away that she was notching up her personality a little bit because she is a little bit more quiet compared to pretty much everybody else in the cast. But I thought she was doing really well, actually. I found myself rooting for her. The only thing that I will critique her on is you could see the effort, and I didn't want to see the effort. I wanted it to feel pretty effortless with her banter and her back and forth with Graham, but you could tell that she was trying. But I appreciated that. I do think if she hadn't notched up the personality and been her more natural self, I think that would have got critiqued as well. So it was kind of like a situation where she was damned if she did and damned if she didn't. So I appreciated the effort that she put forth. She was on the weaker end for me though, but that's only because pretty much everybody was really good in this challenge. I did have her ranked number 7th.
I wanted Kiki to do so well in this challenge, and I think this is a challenge she really could have succeeded in very, very easily. I just think she tried to be too much of a character, And from what we hear in Untucked later, like I really felt for her. This just ultimately ended up being a challenge that I don't think she was going to be as successful as she could have. I have Kiki at number 8.
I don't have many notes for Kiki other than it was a bit bad. I love Kiki and I love Kiki's personality, but I think she just went so over the top that it didn't feel like her. Like I didn't feel like I was watching Kiki. I felt like I was watching her play a character of herself, if that makes sense.
Mhm.
And it's sad because like the audience at home loves Kiki for who Kiki is. And I think she just got on her head thinking for this challenge she needed to push it extra more. But I think if she just eased herself into it and relaxed, she could have really succeeded here. But yeah, unfortunately, I did put Kiki as my number 9.
Ooh, okay. Next up, we had Kyron Thrax. Kyron was always going to do well in this challenge, so I thought she was another one that was very natural. She just came across as like a cute interview guest, which is probably the best way for her to go in this. But I did not understand her story at all. Like, what is a smiley potato?
A smiley potato, let me tell you, it is a
I was going to
beige
ask the
food.
same question, so please, Eris.
Okay, thank you.
It is a beige food delicacy in the UK. It is basically what we would call chip, like what you would call French fries, that we call chips, like in the shape of a smiley face. So it's basically
Oh.
like a chip in the shape of a smiley face, and it's like kind of like it's got like a
I
light
think
little
I've
bearing
had
to it.
something like that.
Yeah.
I used to always love those with a kid. I loved those as a kid with baked beans, which I know is possibly the most British sounding thing you will ever hear me say.
Yeah, just a little bit, but sure.
But yeah.
Okay.
I can't believe she doesn't like them though. That is like,
Why does she?
that is like, I know I am autistic myself, and I know a lot of autistic people, and that is like the comfort food of so many autistic people.
That sounds like a
because it
comfort
is just
food that I would
bland.
love.
Yeah, it sounds delicious. Put some cheese
sounds
on it,
wonderful.
especially.
Yeah.
But I did like her. I thought she was kind of right in the middle. I put her number 5.
I hate you, David. I also have Kyron at number 5.
I also have Kyron at 5.
God damn it!
Oh.
Yeah, I really just think her segment was really good. I don't think she stood out in a super positive or super negative way in this challenge. The reason I have her a little bit lower than some other people is just simply because I think other people did a better job at bantering. That's all. But I think Kyron did a very, very good job this week.
Okay, next. Oh, sorry, Eris.
Oh yes. I don't really have many thoughts other than I thought she did a good job. Like, there's not much I can add. I think Karen did, do well, but I think there was some people that just lent into it and like was so at ease. Like, well, literally everyone sat to her right. That who were just so in ease and so in the zone and just like went with the flow so easily that I think she got outshined a little bit. But yeah, I think Karen did a good job.
Okay, next up we had Lil. This might be kind of a hot take, but I was a little surprised Lil ended up in the top. I thought she did well in the fact that everybody did well. But there was points in her story where I was more noticing Lavoie, and Lavoie seemed more animated when talking to her about her story. So like we said, she does have a dry personality, but I don't know if that lends itself to being super successful in this challenge, at least not for me. So I did think she did well, but not as well as most of the others. For me, I had her at number 6.
Thank God we will have a differing opinion in this episode. I'm thrilled to see it. So I have Lil at number 3. Because I think of that group, a spoiler, that means my number 2 comes from the second group. But I think of the group, I think Lil and Lavoie did the absolute best at bantering. I think Lil's story was so convoluted, but she like wrapped it up in a really positive way that ultimately, like, I think she did a really good job. I think she was also very good at bantering, specifically when it came to Marmalade segment, like bringing things back to her story. I thought she did really well with. So yeah, I really thought Lil was pretty successful in this challenge.
I thought Lil smashed it. I had Lil as my number 2, actually. I
Mm.
loved the way she looked. She had such a calmness and a confidence about her, because I think Lil knows what her personality is. And I think Lil is one of those people who you hand a microphone and it's just magic. And I think she felt like this was no different, and she just tackled it the way she would have tackled hosting a show. Yeah, and I will say the bantering was brilliant, and her story. She got bit by a pig, and do you believe she was
Bitch.
cursed? That is like talk show topic humor. It's just like an outlandish story from a celebrity you don't expect.
Okay, next up we had Marmalade. And I will say I was pretty nervous for her going into this challenge, because Marmalade, I do think she's been pretty quiet throughout the season, which there's nothing wrong with that. And even throughout this challenge, did I say she's been quiet this challenge or this season? Because I meant this season.
Season.
Okay. And in this challenge, like while the first 4 were talking, she really was not taking her moments to interject or anything like that. So I was nervous, but when it got to her, immediately all of my worries went away, because she started off like right out of the gate being very funny, very charming. You could tell she had punchlines set up throughout her delivery. For me, it reminded me so much of these actual interviews that I've seen with celebrities on late night shows so many times. I thought she killed it. And it's a shame that Lavoie was there, because I absolutely think Marmalade would have won this. She was my number 2. She was my number 2 by quite a bit.
Okay. My top 4 is very, very close. I think there were 4 people that did really, really well in this challenge. For me, I have Marmalade at number 4, simply because I think there were 3 other people that did a little bit better job than her. And that's honestly what it was. But I think she did a great job of bantering. Her whole segment, like Lorraine is a comment that I'm going to continue to think about for a long time. It's going to live in my head rent free. I think Marmalade did an absolutely spectacular job in this challenge.
I have to agree with what you said, David, that something about it just reminded you of an actual celebrity doing an interview. And what I clocked from this the most is a lot of it came from her facial expressions.
Mm-hmm.
She played into the humor with like her facial expressions. Like there was one point when she told a joke and like did a little something with her eyeballs, and that just like got me so interested. It felt like a successful actress being interviewed that you has this mystique and charm, but then you speak to them and they're so charming and so funny that you can't help but be sucked in. Yeah, I thought Mom did absolutely brilliant. She was my number 3.
Okay, next up we have the other team, and we start off with Octavia. She's telling her story about being drunk. Immediately, I noticed she was taking a long time to get to the point, and it kept happening. Every next level she went with her story, it just took a long time to get there. And I felt such nervous energy from her. And there were times where she was stumbling over her words. I thought she would do really well at this challenge, but I think she kind of bombed. For me, she was the only one who really failed this challenge, because I think everybody else was varying levels of good. Hers was bad. She was pretty easily my number 9.
Okay, I'm gonna sound like an Octavia hater. I promise you I'm not. She was number 9 by a large margin. I think she did the absolute worst in this challenge. There was no point really to the story other than she got drunk. That's all. She looked cute though. I love the suit, but
Octavia, if you're watching this, I need to know, because you said this happened in the grand city of Leeds, And there is only one time in my head that I remember you performing these. Was this after Mama's Drag Battle 2023? I need to know because I was there that night.
Octavia.
But yes. The thing is, I found Octavia's story kind of relatable. I'm not sure if that's just because I'm also from Leeds and I've watched, all the way down Wellington Place absolutely off my head before. But yeah, I think she just didn't have a good tonality and she didn't have a good flow, which is unfortunate because I do think Octavia is a brilliant personality. I think she was just too nervous. So it was a bad night for her, unfortunately. So she was my number 8.
Next up, we had Chanel O'Connor. What I thought about her is I thought she had one of the most engaging stories. Like I was really into the story as she was telling it. She did a great job of delivering it. She was just very natural and charismatic. She did a lot better than I thought she would. So yeah, I really like Chanel. She would have been in my top 3, honestly. She was number 3 for me.
I think Chanel did a really good job in this challenge as well. I really do think there were 7 people that did exceptionally in this challenge and 2 people that just didn't hit the mark. And that's where we're at with this season, which just shows the caliber of drag that we're watching, which I love. For me, I have Chanel at number 6. And most of that is because I agree with you, David. I think her story was very engaging, and I think she did a really good job at that. Unfortunately, there just wasn't really any banter otherwise. This group had a really hard time bantering off of each other, and it kind of brought the whole group down a little bit. So that's why I have Chanel at number 6. But it's a strong 6th, a very, very strong 6th.
I'm going to be very bluntly honest here. I don't remember anything that Chanel said. I guess I just wasn't engaged in what she had to say, really. And that's not to say whether she was bad or good. She didn't draw me in, and that's unfortunate. So Chanel was my 6th, unfortunately. But she looked cracking.
I love this garment.
Next up, we have Charity, or Charity, however you choose to pronounce it. She's actually the only person who got 2 different segments with questions in this, which I found interesting. And I immediately was like, oh, she's actually doing fairly well. There was something about the music and the facial reactions we were getting from the judges. And I was like, wait, are we supposed to think she's doing poorly here? I didn't think she did poorly. Did I remember her segments very well immediately after? I really didn't. I don't know that that's her fault. I think it might have been me getting distracted by the weird edit. So like I said, I think everybody did well. By default, though, I did have her at number 8, but like I honestly can't see her being in the bottom 2. I didn't think anybody deserved to be in the bottom 2 except Octavia. She could have been in the bottom 2 by herself. So sorry, Chera.
So, like I said, I think there were 7 people that did very well in this challenge and 2 people that did not. I have Chara at number 7. And it is a strong 7 because I really actually do think Chara did a great job in this. I think she was very charismatic. She showed off her personality in an absolutely stellar way. The only thing that brings her a little bit below everyone else is the fact that she stumbled over some words. That's really all. But I think she did a great job.
I think Chara did get like a bit of a weird edit. I think maybe she did stumble a little bit in the start, but I think she did save it really well. I'm willing to bet they probably recorded like a couple of questions with each of them, maybe 2 or 3, and then went off whatever they needed for the edit. Like, I imagine they probably chose Lavoie's best bits. And I think they did the same for Chara. Like, they showed her stumble, but they also showed, like, her recovery. And I think she recovered, like, really well. Like, it got to a point where the end of that, I was like, I don't know how Chara's going to place. Because, like, she could either be low or in the top. I was a bit confused by it. So for me, Chara was actually my number 4.
And honestly, she got some of the best critiques anybody in the bottom has gotten in a long time. So
we'll get to the critiques because it was a full-on Abora bride moment from Dragula season 2.
So last we have Relisa, and I can tell by the numbers each of us have left that this is going to be the widest range of rankings between the three of us. But Relisa, I thought she was one of the most naturally charismatic people out there. Like immediately you could tell she is so ready to be interviewed and to have personality, like in the banter and all of that. I thought she was successful. I think she's the only person where the content of their story kind of dropped them for me, because her story was simply about dancing with the guy and he got a boner. I don't know. It felt like more like, oh, this is something I would gossip with a friend about, not something I would talk about on late show. Like it wasn't even that interesting of a story to be like, oh my gosh, wow. It just was like, oh, is this the right time to be telling somebody that on national television? So that was my only critique for her. Was I just thought the content of it was maybe a little disinteresting and a little lowbrow, but still, like, personality wise, she did really well. So she was my number 4.
We might have this somewhat far along. So I have Relisa at number 2. Simply because I think her charisma was on full display in this challenge. I think she did an exceptional job. She was the only person in this group that I felt like had a little bit of banter with other people and was trying to engage with other people and made it not feel as awkward. I think, while I understand David's point, I think that story for Relisa makes complete sense. I think her telling that story does make sense for who she is and what she portrays in drag. So I didn't mind it, honestly, at all. And I thought the story overall was very funny. And the way she told it was very, very, very good. So I have Relisa at number 2.
Yeah, I thought Relisa did good. Like you said, I think she's a very naturally charismatic person, and that did carry her through the challenge. Was the subject of what she talked about a bit blue? Yeah, but Graham Norton Show's on after the watershed, so you can kind of get away with it. Wait, I think it is. Someone fact check that for me. Wait, do you guys know what the watershed is?
No.
It is the specific time at which the BBC sort of loosens its rules about what can be on TV. So you can kind of swear more
I
and
didn't know
stuff.
it. I knew that was a situation. I didn't know that that's what it was called.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, we call it the watershed. But no, yeah, Relisa did good. I just, yeah, by default she kind of fell into 5th for me.
Not David saying, "Oh, this is going to be the widest margin possible," and it's not.
Well, it's because 7th was the only spot you had left. So
wait, who?
Eris.
Oh, hold on.
So I assumed it was 7th.
Who did I say was 5th? Oh no,
Kyron. And then Chanel at 6.
Oh no, Chanel was meant to be 7th, Kyron was meant to be 6th, and Relisa was meant to be 5th.
Okay.
Sorry, yeah, I have it here. I was kind of just going off memory, but I did make notes.
Fair.
Fair enough.
Well, that makes our rankings, our average rankings, kind of interesting, because we almost just had the tops and bottoms match the judging, but now there's actually a tie for 3rd place between Lil and Relisa. So,
oop.
Yep, but yeah, we did have Lavoie number 1, Marmalade number 2, Lil and Relisa number 3, Kyron and Chanel number 5, Chara number 7, Kiki number 8, and Octavia number 9.
Justice for Chara.
Well, she got her justice because thankfully she wasn't in the bottom. But The critiques, really the only main thing I want to talk about is Lavoie having an emotional moment and being like, I finally feel seen. And I'm like, yes, queen. I love her.
She's so lovable.
I really am enjoying Lavoie this season.
So much more
At this
than
point,
I
I'm like, can we crown Lavoie and Kyron? Like, is that an option?
I would love it. I would love
Me
it. They're my
too.
two favorites right now.
I mean, I'm still firmly Team Chara, but I hope Lavoie does well.
Mm-hmm.
I'm Team everyone. This cast is good.
Yes. That's the thing with the UK cast. It's either the best mix of people you'll ever get, or it's a bit, okay, that's who you chose.
It's the even seasons. I told you all. I love
but you
it.
kind of
5 is also a good season.
5 is a good season. But
5
the
is
even
a good
seasons
season.
are the best. Not better than
okay,
2,
don't
4,
give
6.
that face just because you don't like someone on the season. Objectively speaking,
I also
season 5
objectively did not like the season. I loved the final 3.
There was a lot of disappointing things from it for me, but I still like
it. Oh, sorry, David.
Oh,
I'm dead.
Oh, okay. Back to. Oh God, what are we on about?
Lavoie.
Oh yes, back to Lavoie. I love what Lavoie represents in terms of like British drag, because that is old school cabaret drag, like old school British cabaret drag, but at its best. And she just has such an endearing personality. She is absolutely like reminds me of that older queen who you go to a show, you see her, you're out of drag, you go off whilst you've had a few drinks, like, oh, I'm doing drag as well. And she's like, oh, that's lovely. Show me some pictures. Da, da, da. She gives me like that vibe. Who she reminds me of, earnestly, is a queen from Leeds. And Chara will probably get this as well. She reminds me a bit of Mama Bear, who's a Leeds queen who is very much that same genre of drag.
Me too.
And I just like adore the bones of Lavoie. And I adore like that sort of, it's a somewhat maternal energy, I would say, that I really have come to love about Lavoie.
Mm-hmm. She's so much more grounded than I expected. And I've mentioned that in other episodes, but I really did expect her to come in and just feel above it all. And she's been just honestly one of the most lovable queens I've seen in years. And so much so that I even had to message her last night after the episode. I'm like, you are so dang lovable. And she hearted my message. So I appreciated that.
Also, Chara, if you're watching this, check your Instagram DMs, bitch. Anyway.
Didn't read mine, Chara.
Chara.
Oh, she doesn't follow you back? Can't relate.
She follows the cup, though, so thanks, Chara.
Thank you, Chara.
And Untucked, the only thing
we do say that differently.
Chara and Chara.
We said Chara's name like one after another, and I was like, yeah, we do actually say that really differently.
We do actually say it differently. Because I would say Charity as like Charity Case, but I'm saying Chara because that's how people have said it on the show.
It's mainly RuPaul, though. It's mainly RuPaul, I've noticed.
Okay, maybe I'm echoing RuPaul. I don't know. Anyway, in the Untucked, the main thing that happens is Kiki has a bit of a breakdown and is talking about, not really being understood. And as someone who has not been understood for most of their life, I understand how she feels. So,
yeah,
we'll talk more about her. But I love her.
I love Kiki.
Yeah, I love Kiki. So it was really hard to watch her break down like this, especially because I thought she had a really good week, and I thought the critiques were kind of BS personally, because they would have, if she just was her normal self, they would have critiqued her for that. They would have said, you didn't stand out, you were too small. So she made an attempt to be TV ready, and like it was frustrating, but not as frustrating as something else that was about to happen.
Yeah. So we get our top 3.
Oh, no. Sorry. I thought we were going to get into it, but we didn't.
No.
So earlier in the episode, we did have a throwaway comment from Chera
Oh,
to
Jesus
Chanel.
Christ. I wanted to ignore this because this is dumb and
Oh,
stupid.
I'm sorry.
I hated it. But no,
I
go
didn't
ahead.
know.
I don't care.
But she was like, they were talking about like who they would want to interview, like, and all of that. And then Chera says to Chanel, like, oh, would you let your interviewee talk? Clearly a joke. Clearly a joke. But in this Untucked, we have, I can't remember who, somebody asked the team, like, oh, did you all have banter or whatever? Was there any confusion? And Chanel's like, well, I did want to bring this up, but Chera, when you brought that up and said something about me not letting people talk, that really upset me and got in my head. And I love Chanel. I love it. I love this as a TV moment, but I was like, girl, clearly it was a joke. Clearly it was a joke. And I think that's how everybody else in the room felt too. They're like, Chera is the last person to like come for somebody like that. It was a joke. And Chera, I think she was very big to apologize for something she probably didn't need to apologize for. So she apologizes and says, "Oh, I'm sorry. I thought it was coming across that I was joking." But they made up, I guess, again.
I just found it to be a little bit hypocritical. Just because Chanel has gone for the jugular at Chara before, and then Chara makes one kind of throwaway comment, and Chanel's ready to have a mentee be. I was just a bit like, like I've come to like Chanel now. But like when that initial interaction happened, I did have a bit of a dislike for her, and this like kind of rehashed that a little bit. Although I think Chanel is like a brilliant character for reality TV.
She is.
But in this moment, she did need to get a grip a little bit.
She probably realizes it too. I bet she would be the first person to be like, oh yeah, I blew
probably
that
just
out of
hyper
proportion.
emotional from, Drag
Oh,
Race.
100%. Yeah.
And it's also, I think it's pretty natural. And I've seen this a lot on like Drag Race shows lately. When somebody is not getting the placement in the competition they expect, how can I blame somebody else? How can I not take responsibility and blame somebody else? I think that's a natural human thing. And I think that's kind of what she was doing here. Oh, I wasn't in the top because you got in my head, Chera. I do think she should have been in the top, but yeah, I can understand like wanting to try to rationalize why I wasn't there if I felt like I should have been. So
valid. Anyway, let's talk about our results. We have a top 3. Marm, Lil, Voix. And the winner, Voix!
yay. Deserve. Deserve.
Very deserved. Very, very, very deserved. Now, Chara is kind of, sort of, maybe, potentially, hypothetically, in the bottom 3. And it was potentially the most confusing set of critiques I've ever experienced on Drag Race.
It was. So yeah, like I was updating our draft scores, and initially when I saw everything, I was like, okay, I know who the bottom 3 are. And then I heard the critiques and I'm like, oh, let me change Chera's score. She's in the top. And then they got into Untucked and she's like, well, I'm in the bottom, and everybody else is acknowledging she's in the bottom. And I'm like, wait, she was in the bottom? Why did they just like lavish so much praise on her if she's in the bottom? So, hey, girl, be proud because you got the best critiques anybody in the bottom has ever gotten.
The best low critiques ever.
Yes.
On Drag Race, literally. I would have even maybe just had her safe. If I'm being honest with you, I think I would have just given her the 3 points for safe. Because that's where she kind of seemed like she was for me. Because obviously Marm and Lil get called safe, and then it's the bottom 3, and they said, Chara, we got a chance to talk to you this week, and we liked it. So nothing about that was negative. So I don't know. Regardless.
It was just a really weird interaction. It just, I don't know. Maybe it was Ru trying to, therapy eyes the critiques for Chara.
Therapize?
I don't know. therapy eyes. I don't know. It basically turned into therapy. But you know what? I was sat there listening to Chari get all that praise, and I was very happy. And I think she deserves it, because I think, like, to come back from a stumble like that on Drag Race is hard, because normally it's like, oh no, you tripped, guess you're going home, bitch. Instead, it was like, you know, you had a bit of a fumble of the words, but you carried on, you pushed through, and you got to where you needed to be, and you excelled when you got there. It was weird.
But yes, thankfully, Chara was not put in the bottom, because she didn't deserve to be in the bottom, at all, for anything she did in this episode. And we end up with the lip sync we were all hoping to get at some point. We get Kiki and Octavia in the bottom, and I was like, oh, it's going to be a good song.
We almost had it.
I was like, oh my God, is it going to be a step song? Oh my God, I'm so excited. Let's Dance by David Bowie. Okay.
Wait, do you not like that song?
I do.
No, I think it's a great song. I would have wanted... The lip sync was great. Let me say that before I say any of my critiques. I think this lip sync was great, and probably the best lip sync of the season so far. I would have loved... This is just me personally, because I love the song. I would have loved... Because Michelle even mentions in this episode her collab song with Steps. And I was like, okay, cool. Michelle is making it very, very clear that the lip sync song is Heartbreak in the City. And I was like, I'm so excited. That's going to be such a good lip sync song. Oh my God. Yes. Oh. I was just taken aback, but I love this song. I love this song. And I love this lip sync. And I love David Bowie. But I was expecting anything. Like, David Bowie would have been the last thing I would have predicted for this lip sync, but I'm thrilled we finally got a David Bowie lip sync.
Yeah, I wouldn't change a thing. Like, I would be too afraid to say, hey, I wish it was something else, because I think this lip sync was so good. And it absolutely is going to be on my end of year list, because
same.
These two killed it. These two killed it. I could not take my eyes off of them. I wrote down, like, as I was watching, I think Kiki is one of my absolute favorite lip syncers ever in Drag Race history. I think so too. There is something that something about her. She just takes it into like a new place that we just do not see people do when they're lip syncing. And I thought Octavia was really holding her own too. I was like, against anybody else, Octavia would absolutely win this lip sync. It's just a shame she's up against Kiki, because, like, who can beat Kiki in the lip sync? So that was my thoughts while watching.
This was such a good lip sync. And I've been on like a real Bowie kick lately. So when it was Let's Dance, I was like, oh, yes, absolutely. Especially being like one of the Bowie songs that you can kind of like dance to that isn't necessarily more ballady, like The Man Who Sold the World or Space Oddity. So I was really, really happy with this. And they both killed it.
Mm-hmm.
I knew Octavia was winning, though, when she pulled off that dress, pulled off the hat, and she had a different outfit underneath, and she was just absolutely bucking. And I'm going to say it, I've said it before, and I'll say it again. I told you all that Octavia can move like a fucking whirlwind.
Mm-hmm.
And once again, she did. Kiki was also really impressive in it, though. Like, I think my favorite moment is there's a line where it's like, oh, put on your red shoes and dance the blues. Oh, wait, no, I don't think it's that line. But where she essentially starts moonwalking.
Mm-hmm.
Yes.
Like, but she does it so smoothly. And I was watching that, I was like, I don't know whether this is going. Because it can't be a double save, because we've had a non-elimination episode already.
It should have been, though.
I think it could have been.
It should have been. Like, I'm frustrated that it wasn't, because I really do think these two performed their asses off.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, I'm not saying that I think Lil should have gone home last week, but that lip sync could have been a double sachet, and I would have understood why they did it. And if it was that case, so that way we would have gotten a double save here, I wouldn't have ultimately been upset about it. For me, though, again, I think Octavia is a great performer. I think Octavia is a great queen. For me, in this lip sync, I was a little bit more enthralled by what Kiki was doing because there were so many different things she was going for. She brought in the moonwalk, like you said, Eris. She had some very interesting, like, old way Vogue movements in this
I
that
noticed
I
that as
just,
well.
I just was obsessed with it. And I agree with you, David. I think she is one of my favorite performers I've ever seen on Drag Race. Like, I really do think, and I'm going to save this comment for when we talk about her, but I just think they both did so well. It was two completely different performing styles that just blended so well in all this almost like tango on stage in this lip sync. And I really think this deserved to be a double save.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know how they would have done that, but I really just think it should have been.
They could do an episode where it's a bottom 3 and 2 people are going home. We've seen it in different. Yeah, we've seen it in different ones. For me, what's interesting was after this lip sync, I was like, okay, so either Kiki's staying or they're both staying. So when we got the first person called safe and it was Octavia, I was like, oh, okay, it's a double save. Cool. And then when they told Kiki to sashay away, I am not exaggerating when I say my jaw dropped.
Same.
And it stayed that way for 3 minutes. And I kept, like, even when she walked to the back of the stage, I was expecting a Kiki, wait. I was expecting that moment. I was positive she was not going home with this lip sync. I can't think of a better lip sync that sent somebody home. I can't think of one. This was incredible.
There's a couple that come to mind that are of the same caliber. I wouldn't say better, but I would say of the same caliber. I would say Matilda lip syncing against Jade comes close because I think Matilda did a great job.
She did. I don't think it was on this level.
Valid.
Personally.
I would say so. Just, and they're two different. It's like comparing apples and broccoli. Like that's really what it is. But yeah, my roommate and I, while watching this, both were like, "Oh, Kiki won!" Like as soon as the lip sync ended, it was like, "Great lip sync, phenomenal lip sync, Kiki won." And for them to just kind of just get rid of her, that's what it felt like to me. It just kind of felt like they just got rid of Kiki. And it's such a shame because I think she is one of the most entertaining people on this season. I think we've lost two very big personalities back to back, and I think it's an absolute shame. And I really think, and now we've got some of the UK queens campaigning for it. I think if we get a UK All-Stars anytime soon, bring Kiki back, and I think with a little bit more time and a little bit more resources and a little bit more money, I think we could see a Mo Hart effect, a Monet Exchange effect with her, even like someone like a Scarlet Envy effect. Like I think with time, resources, and money, I think Kiki could come back onto Drag Race and win. I think she's got every single thing it takes. And I'm curious whether ultimately they just decided that they liked what Relisa was doing more than Kiki and they didn't need them both. And that's what it feels like to me. And I think that's a goddamn shame. Because, and I would have been just as upset if Octavia had gone home because I think Octavia brings something absolutely wonderful to this season. But I'm really, like, Zahira and Kiki going out back to back, like two of my absolute faves on this season. But still me loving all 8 people that are left on this season. And I love Saki and I love Dita. Like, this season is just so jam-packed where we're getting such talented people who otherwise I think would have done so incredible on, quite frankly, any other season of Drag Race UK. We're seeing people that could be finalists going home early. And I think that's absolutely wild, but it speaks to the caliber of the season.
Do you know what it gives?
I hope we get Kiki back on another
It
season.
gives Drag Race season 2 energy, especially with the like amazing cast and people you think could be finalists going home early. Naming no
US
names,
or
Cherry
UK
Valentine,
season
Joe
2?
Black.
Oh,
UK got it.
I was
Yeah.
like,
I was like, yeah, Nicole Paige Brooks from Atlanta, Georgia. Yeah. Uh-huh. Yeah. Well, Kylie did come back and win. So
but yes, you're right with that.
No, 100%. I absolutely agree with you. Yeah.
Even 4, like, there's worlds
4,
where
yeah.
I could see like so many people from season 4 making it to the finale.
Yeah. Like it is just a jam-packed season with a lot of great talent.
Mm-hmm.
And unfortunately, we've lost Kiki at this point, and I'm really upset about it. But we love you, Kiki.
We do.
Love you, Kiki.
She will be back on TV. She'll be
I
back
guess
on TV.
the one silver lining, Logan, you can't say they did it again with making somebody the lip sync assassin.
I know. I mean,
I'm taking it though.
I wouldn't have been mad at it though, because she's such a good performer. But no, you are right. We'll see.
It's
we'll
your
see
fault because they heard you complain about that. So they're like, okay.
Don't blame this on me, you bitch. Anyway, I don't want to look at the draft because David has updated the draft since Global aired, which happened today at the time of filming. I don't want to know who wins. Therefore, hey, David, can you do a draft update for us, please?
Yes. So in 4th, I don't think anything changed. In 4th place, we have Logan.
I don't think so.
Yeah, Logan with 28.5 points.
More points, thanks, Lavoie.
3rd place is David with 35 points. 2nd place is Lana with 47.5 points. And 1st place is Eris with 49 points.
Oh my god. Wait, who do I have in my draft again?
You have
Chanel and someone.
Chara Chanel, which is actually really funny. And Relisa.
It is.
Relisa.
Yeah.
Yep.
Relisa.
I stand by drafting the Filipinas. I stand by
Relisa
it.
Scott Lee.
Stop. No. Anyway, next week is Snatch Game.
It's Queen Victoria game.
Oh God.
I didn't actually see the preview for next episode, so I'm very excited to learn
it's Snatch Game.
Who are the two Queen Victorias?
Charity.
Chanel and Chara. Because of course. Of course. You can't script this shit. Like, oh my goodness. Wow.
Oh, can we also mention, like, we didn't mention it, but Michelle saying there's something special about Chara. Like, that has to be such a cool moment. So I'm sure she was like over the moon hearing that.
I love Chara.
I'm kind of hoping Chara's on it. I'm kind of hoping Chara's on a DD-licious trajectory. Where
I would love to see that.
Where everyone's not, where the critiques are kind of mixed, but there's those moments of like star power in there that get them through to the top 4. Was it top 4 or top 5 we lost DD?
4.
4.
Yeah. Well, let's hope Chara gets a challenge win.
Let's go Snatch Game.
We'll see. But we're going to get out of here. Thank you for joining us for this beautiful, lovely, and wonderful recap of Drag Race UK. Make sure to check out our Look Over Here episode where we talk about this wonderful runway. And all I have to say is, how's your head? Peace. I've never had any complaints because this hat is very nice. All the references there. Thank you for joining. Subscribe, like, and share on the way out. Make sure to check out the description where you can find all of our audio podcast links, our other YouTube channels, our Patreon, our social media, and where you can get your merch, including my not limited to cup mug. And with all that being said, we are going to go ahead and get out of here. So cheers. Bye.
Cheers.
Cheers, loves.